Nerves are a funny thing, aren't they? I could stand up here and talk all day long. If I had to get up here and sing, I'd shake like a cat on a hot tin roof. They are just funny. But this cool, you nailed it. Loved it. It's all about him. This didn't make it in the bulletin this week, but if you have a Bible, I'd like to open it to the book of Luke, chapter 8. The reason it didn't make it into the bulletin was because about midstream, God changed my mind, and I didn't get it to David in time. And that's fine. It happens like that sometimes. This past week, gosh, I think I only had really one night at home. But Thursday night, Savannah had a ball game that was here. And so I'm going to try not to embarrass Savannah too bad with this. But after that game, there was several times during that ball game. She plays basketball for Covenant in high school. And there were several times during that game where she had an open shot and she hesitated and didn't take it. She just paused. It's like she really had to think about what she was doing and paused. And so we got home that night. We were talking about it. And I said, "Look, you have to pull the trigger. When you have that shot, you have to know when that ball comes to you. Then I'm open. I have to take that shot. You have to pull the trigger." And so we talked about it. And Friday night, she had a game in Brentwood. And so me and Joe hopped in the car and we went to Brentwood. Took off work early, got up there, and the middle school boys game went. The girls came out and warmed up. She did pretty well, and the game started. In the first, I'm going to say 30 to 45 seconds of the game, she had already had 4 points. Okay. But right before that game, and they were huddled around and fixing the coach talk, she looks up at me, and I went like this. I said, "Pull the trigger." And she just smiled. And after that, so I think she wound up with 6 points because they double-teamed her the whole game. I think they thought she was like the best player on the team, and so they didn't want her scoring more points. But she pulled the trigger, and this whole time I'm sitting here watching this game unfold, watching this happen. I'm thinking to myself, I see she wasn't even in here to hear that. Wasn't that awesome? Does God not do the same thing to us? Do we not hesitate sometimes when we should really pull the trigger? And we overthink it. And I think one reason we do that is because the storms of life that come at us scare us. And when we get caught up in a storm and things happen, we don't do what we normally or what we know we should do. And so I'm sitting watching this whole game unfold, and God's speaking to me the whole time. And I'm kind of up there. I'm sitting with Alan Gross. I don't know if y'all know Alan Gross or not, but some of you may know him. He's a talker, and so he's talking the whole time. And this whole God's unfolding this in front of me, and he's talking. So I'm trying to piece it all together. But so yesterday when I got up to go to work, this whole thing's still going in my mind, and it came back to me what happened to Jesus in Luke 8. And I'm going to share that with you. But before I do, I want to ask you a question anyway. Do we really have hope? Do we say we have hope? We say we know who Jesus is, what He's done, but do we place our hope in Him? We put it on the sign out front so that we're building bridges of hope, but we have to know where our hope is to be able to help somebody else to get there. And so this morning, I want you to know, I want you to realize, look, there's someone we can put our trust and hope in. And He's given us these things that we need to latch on to. In the book of Job, chapter 5, verse 7, it tells us that, look, we'll have troubles just as surely as sparks fly upwards. And that means that all of us are going to face storms in life. All of us are going to have troubles. All of us are going to have things in life that may not be just pleasant, but it's going to happen. James 1:2 tells us, look, consider it joy when the storms of life come at you. That's hard to do, isn't it? It's hard to smile in adversity. It's hard to smile when things are being tough on us. So at what point do we give up? At what point do we break? At what point do we think all is lost? At what point does it just become a huge setback? I want to read you this passage. This is Luke 8, verse 22. And one day when Jesus said to His disciples, "Let's cross to the other side of the lake." So they got in the boat and they started out. And as they sailed across, Jesus lied down for a nap. I'm going to stop right here for just a minute, y'all. It's okay to take naps. Jesus took naps. It's okay. We can take naps. Jesus did it. It makes it all right. But as soon as He laid down, He took a nap. It says as soon as He did, a fierce storm came down on the lake. The boat was filling up with water, and they realized they were in real danger. So I want you to get to this picture. Jesus is in the boat sleeping. The disciples are rowing across the lake, and a storm comes up, and it's a bad storm, and they realize really quick, this is not good. We're in real grave danger here. And so the disciples went and woke him up. And they were shouting, Master, Master, we're going to drown. And when Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and the raging waves. And suddenly the storm stopped and all was calm. And then he asked them, where is your faith? The disciples were terrified and amazed. And I want you to remember those two words, terrified and amazed, because they were at the same time. Who is this man, they ask each other. When he gives a command, even the wind and the waves obey him. Now, there's some things in this passage I really want you to see, because this is so much deeper than just some guys in a boat crossing a lake. Okay? This is something for you today. They all got in this boat. Jesus was tired. He lay down to take a nap. The storm came. The boat was filling with water. They were in danger. I'm going to ask you, if you think that boat was filling up with water, what do you think those disciples, what do you think the first thing they were doing? What would be the first thing you would do? Start bailing water, right? Hey, let's get a bucket. Let's throw some water out of this thing and keep it going, right? I've been in that situation. I've been in a boat that had water in it and you had to bail it out. And that's instinct to do that, to save yourself, save the boat, bail the water out. But isn't that the same thing we do when a storm comes in our life? We try to fix it. Isn't it the same thing that when a storm comes in your life, when troubles come, we try to fix it, don't we? Of course we do. That's human nature. I've got this. I can fix this. We try to bail the water out. We try to keep the boat afloat. We try to do everything. And then they realized that they were in really danger. It was really bad. And so they said, well, we got to wake Jesus up because the boat's going to sink. So they run downstairs and they wake him up. What else did they do right here? They didn't say, Jesus, we're scared, did they? Say, Jesus, the boat's filling up with water. They said, oh, we're going to drown. You ever feel like that sometimes when trouble comes? Hey, I'm going to die. This is it. It's going to wipe me out. This is my time. Jesus, here I come. You ever been in a storm like that? You think this is it? This is the worst storm I've ever been in. We're all going to die. That's exactly where the disciples were. And there's two things I want you to notice here. First one is they tried to fix it themselves. The second one is they went down and told Jesus what was going to happen. You ever done that? Got on your knees before God. God, this is the worst storm I've ever been in. This is what I need to do to fix it. Exactly what the disciples did. We're going to drown. They thought they were going to die. Don't you notice what Jesus did? It says when he woke up, first of all, he just rebuked the wind and the waves. It says, and suddenly the storm stopped and all was calm. Just like that. Boy, that's a lesson, isn't it? So we get in these storms and we get to the point where we want to give up. We get to the point where we want to quit. We get to the point where it's such a huge setback, it changes our whole life, our whole outlook on everything we do. We can never give up. Christ never gave up on you. Not one time. All the way to the cross, all the way to the tomb, he arose. He never gave up on you. I'm going to tell you, there's storms that happen. I heard a passage a couple of weeks ago. I was preaching on the storms of life and the troubles that come. And this pastor said, and this preacher said, he said, just get over it. Just get over your problems. Well, man, if you've ever been in a storm, you know you can't just get over something. That doesn't happen like that, does it? Because it's hard. It's tough. It's scary. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what's going to happen. And it hurts. You can't just get over something like that. But what you can do is go to the one who's in control of the storm. You cry out to God. What do you think those disciples would have said if they'd went down to the bottom of the boat, woke Jesus up and said, Jesus, there's a really bad storm, and we're scared? Because if one of my children come to me and said they were scared, what would you do? You'd wrap your arms around and love on them, wouldn't you? Say, it's going to be all right. Because as a parent, that's what we know to do. And as Jesus, he knew. He knew. And they come down to him and said, oh, we're going to die. They probably felt like they were. But you can't just get over something like that. You see, you go to the one who has control over it. And that in this case would be Christ. And in that, you tell him, all right, I'm scared. And let him help you. Let him handle the storm. I don't know if you noticed in the passage or not, the storm went away. Just like that, it went away. That's pretty cool, isn't it? What do you think those disciples, we read what those two words, and I'm going to go back to them in a few minutes. We'll get there. I'm a little bit ahead of myself. But when storms come, we have to deal with them. No matter how bad they are, no matter how big they are, I'm assure you they're not bigger than our God is. And storms will pass. I asked someone this morning, I said, why do you think somebody invented a storm shelter? Why do you think somebody went through all the trouble to invent a storm shelter? To get in that shelter and to be safe until the storm passes, right? That's the whole point of one. You can go downtown today and buy one. They'll come dig a big hole in your yard and put it in the yard, put the door down, a storm comes, you get in and hide, right? Till the storm passes. Storms will pass. They're not picky, but they come and they go, and that's in everybody's life. It's not just yours. It's everybody's. In the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 45, it tells us that the sun rises on the evil and that the sun rises on the good. He sends rain on the righteous and he sends rain on the unrighteous. Everybody goes through troubles, trials, and storms. What's amazing about a storm is they come and go as they please. I've never once had a storm call me and say, hey, I'm going to be there at 3 o'clock. Not one time. They just come, and they come in good times, and they come in bad times, they come in difficult times, but they come. And you knowing how to deal with a storm. Those disciples in that boat were looking down the lake, and they saw this storm coming, and they knew it was going to be bad, and they knew it was going to get them caught because they couldn't get to the bank in time. And so they did everything they could do. They bailed water out, they kept the boat pointed toward the bank. They did everything they could do, but it was not enough. And some storms you cannot weather on your own. You need help. Real help. And you have to go to the one that's in control of the storm. How do you do that? How do you go to the one? Look, you get on your knees before God and you cry out and you say, God, look, this is a really bad storm and I'm scared. And that's hard to do, guys. That's really hard to do, say you're scared because we're all macho, right? Rob in his Superman socks. He's macho. I'm not kidding. He's got them on. I don't know where he's at, but he's got them on wherever he is. He'll show them to you. There they are right there. We're macho. It's okay to be scared. Life is a little scary at times. It's okay. The thing is, you've got to know who to go to who is in control. The disciples went to him and blessed their souls. They went down there and told Jesus what was going to happen. And Jesus knew the whole time. That's not why. That's why he said, oh, where's your faith? Why do you not believe? So the question is this morning, who are you putting your hope in? Or are you putting your hope in anything? Because we have a Savior who says, look, I will save you from your sin. I will save you from eternity of darkness and torment. I will save you from those things if you'll simply ask me to. Simple as that. If those disciples had run down to the bottom of that boat and got on their knees right there with Jesus and said, Jesus, we're scared, it's a bad storm, he would have comforted them and stopped the storm right then. We can't do all this on our own. We think we can. The world tells us that you can be your own God. You can be your own thing. You can do all you can fix it. The truth is you can't fix everything. Some of it maybe, yes, you can get away with, but you cannot fix everything. You need someone who is in control. Because we have no control. It's an illusion. Storms come and they go. They come and they go. See, Jesus is who we're supposed to put our hope in. I want to read you this last part of this again because I want to be sure you get it. The disciples went, they woke him up shouting, Master, Master, we're going to drown. And when he woke up, he rebuked the wind, the raging waves, all the scary stuff. And when the storm stopped and when all was calm, then he asked them, where is your faith? Now, don't you listen to what happened to the disciples after this, okay? They were terrified and amazed. Now, have you ever been terrified and amazed at the same time? Well, that's exhilarating, isn't it? It's like nervous and excited at the same time. It's like a feeling probably that we don't feel a lot. Terrified and amazed. They were terrified because of the power he had over the storm and over the waves, and that he actually calmed them. And then they were amazed over the same exact thing. It was exhilarating for them. And they said, look, who is this man? They talked between each other. When he gives a command, even the wind and the waves obey his voice. They obey him. If he can control the wind and the waves on a little storm on a little lake over in the middle of Israel somewhere, what makes you think he can't control a little storm that's coming up in your life? What makes you think he can't take control and fix something that's troubling you? The deal is we got to know who to go to. We got to know that our hope is placed in him. Let me tell you about a hill in Jerusalem called Golgotha. And it literally means the place of the skull. It means the place where people die. And that's where they marched Jesus up to. And that's where they put the cross in the ground and they nailed him to the cross. And that's where he died for you. Where's your hope? They took him off that cross and placed him in a borrowed tomb. Sealed the door. Where's your hope? All the people at that time said, look, you're Jesus in the grave. He's dead just like everybody else. And then they go back and the stone is rolled away. And guess what they found? They found the bedclothes. They're neatly folded right there where he was laying. They found the empty tomb. There was no Jesus. There was no blood. There was no nothing. Then there was no nothing in that tomb. And I know that's not perfect English. I'm sorry. But there was nothing there. She corrects me on my grammar. I have to, It was empty. Where's your hope? And then they met him on the road. And then the disciples saw him in the upper room. And then he went and taught and made more disciples before he ascended and went back. Where's your hope? Listen, this Jesus that the world hates so much is exactly what the world needs. More of him. And we need more of him in our life because we need to put our hope in what we know to be true. My dad tells a story back when he was younger, when he and my mom first got married. And they were out fishing and a big storm come up. And he's told me this story a dozen times. I've heard him tell other people, and I'll try to get it the best I can. They may be watching this morning, Dad. Hope I get it right. And so they were trying to get back to take the boat out when the storm hit. And they couldn't get back, and it was really bad. The wind was really coming up, and it was a tornado. And so they pulled into just as quick as they could to the bank, and the only thing there was a concrete picnic table. And him and my uncle, Lanny, who was done going home to be with Jesus, got under that concrete picnic table. They tied the boat to a tree, and this storm came through. It blew the boat plumb up on the bank, and they literally held on to the bottom of this concrete picnic table as the tornado passed right by them. It literally lifted them up. And they were holding on, just like you see in the movies. That's the way I look at it. But they were literally, and Dad said the rain was hitting him so hard it left bruises on him. That's how hard the wind was blowing. He said stuff was going everywhere. It was a terrible, terrible storm. And my dad said, I don't ever want to do that again. And I imagine he probably doesn't. Storms come, y'all. Things happen. Life is what it is. It's life. You just got to know how to handle the storms. The disciples right here give us a perfect picture of what to do when troubles come. We cry out to Jesus. We go to him. He's the one. That's where our hope is supposed to be. That's where we're supposed to be clinging to. Letting him move through our lives. Less of us, more of him. But I know we want to fix things. And I know that's instinct for us to say, I can fix this, I can do this. But when it comes right down to it, we need to release that and let God take care of it. And then we'll tell you, let the burden that takes off you. You know that God is the Trinity, right? There's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. We've been taught that forever. But you know, you were made in God's image. God created you. He made man in his image. And I believe we are the same way. We have the body, the soul, and the spirit. There's three parts to us. Now, the body is very frail. Would you agree with me with that? We get sick easy. We pick up the flu easy. We, smash and break bones. We do all kinds of stuff. We're frail in our body. Our spirit is frail too. And stress and all those kind of things that attack us and make us worry and think, that gets to us, doesn't it? The only thing, look, God gave you a soul for a reason. And let me explain this to you, because in the book of Genesis it says that God made Adam of the dust of the earth. He quickened him to life, and he did this. He leaned over and breathed a living soul into Adam. A gift from God. He gives you a soul. Now your spirit makes you who you are, but your soul defines you spiritually. Your body can get sick. Your spirit can get sick. Sin will make you sick in the soul. We have hope in Christ who comes to forgive us of our sin, makes us well. And not only does that, he helps us live through life and helps us weather the storms that come and attack. But you've got to put your hope and trust in him. And that's what it takes. You see, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be on your knees and cry out to God. It's okay to seek him because that's exactly what he wants us to do. He wants to walk with you. He wants to be close to you. He wants to be in your life. Don't shut him out. This morning you may be in the middle of a bad storm. You may be in the middle of something going on you don't even know about. I'm sure God knows about it. Won't you let him help you through it? You may be somewhere where you're like, I don't know about all this God stuff. I don't know about putting my hope in anything. I've always fixed everything myself. You are not big enough to fix everything yourself. You need to give it to God and let him work in your life. And you may be sitting there this morning, I already heard all this, I already know all this, and that's great and that's wonderful. Pray for the ones that hadn't. Let's lift them up this morning. Because life is not easy. But with God in it, it sure looks a lot better. And he can do more in your life than you ever thought you could on your own. Would you do that this morning? Would you guys pray with me? Father, we get so caught up in everything that's going on around us.